I think we have to widen the frame to explain how Trumpism has gotten this far. I used to try to explain it just by looking at the evolution of our politics. Sarah Palin for vice president in 2008 is an obvious antecedent to Donald Trump as a Republican frontrunner 8 years later. We can find points on the political map like that are explanatory, but our political culture is inextricable from the rest of our culture, our popular culture. Candidate Trump has risen in a culture that brought you Honey Boo Boo, a show that encouraged audiences to chuckle at the worst kind of child rearing, to watch a little girl getting no helpful preparation at all for how to advance in this world. America was invited to laugh at that little girl and her mother, and America did. The people who run our networks did not grow up like that little girl. Most of them had parents who looked over their shoulders while they were doing their homework and helped them to get where they are today. And none of them have thought of returning that favor by creating a reality show where a mother who had to struggle to get through high school herself then becomes her own children's best tutor and eventually over years ends up sending them off to college. A show about excellence. Who would watch that? The ratings indicate, the ratings that you have supplied by watching TV, the ratings indicate that no one would watch that. Or not enough people to keep a show like that alive. And so popular culture gives us Snooki and The Situation, not as cautionary tales, not as contemporary tragic figures who made the mistake of relentlessly ignoring their homework assignments in high school, but as amusements, people to laugh at. Popular culture gives us so-called real housewives who prove they're real by physically attacking each other at the off-screen urgings of their producers, who pretend it's all worthy of your attention because it's what they call reality. And popular culture celebrates the biggest stars in the sad history of reality TV, whose last name became famous thanks to the double murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. No one in that family has any talent or ability worth aiming a camera at, but America's celebrity culture doesn't care about that. Celebrity is now easily achieved without any admirable talent or ability, which of course brings us back to Donald Trump, who managed to stoke his fame by being the guy everyone hates in real life, but who they then think is fun to watch on a reality show. The guy who fires people. That's what reality TV does. It takes behavior that we should be ashamed of, embarrassed of, that we should condemn, that we should hope our children never engage in, and reality TV presents it as fun. And so today, people go to Donald Trump rallies for the fun of watching Donald Trump do his lame impersonation of a dictator, exactly the kind of person the Founding Fathers despised. And when those people go home from the Trump rally, they see fictional presidents on TV who are murderers and election stealers, and all of this has been pumped into popular culture by Hollywood liberals, and yes, most of them are liberals, who control what we see on television. It was over 35 years ago that Time magazine did a cover story about just how bad teachers could be in some of our public schools. Now, we still have great teachers and great public schools in some places, but it is hard to argue that our public education system has not been struggling badly for over 50 years now. Most of our voters now are products of those struggling public schools. All of the politicians and pundits who've been telling you how bad our public schools are for 50 years still try to tell you that those schools are producing the smartest voters in the world. Donald Trump knows better. He credited his big win in Nevada to, among others, his beloved poorly educated. That was his phrase. Millions of our voters don't have the basic skills for separating fact from fiction. Millions of Trump supporters believe President Obama is a Muslim. 66% of them, in fact. Millions of Trump supporters believe Donald Trump's original political lie that Barack Obama is not a citizen of the United States. The president produced his birth certificate, but that wasn't good enough for people who don't know what proof is. If our public education system is as bad as its critics say it is, Do we have any right to be surprised that it has produced voters who are susceptible to Donald Trump's lies about Barack Obama's birth, or Donald Trump's insistence that he will get Mexico to pay for a wall that he wants to build? Is it a coincidence that the political party that wants to devote less resources to education now has a front runner for president with supporters he affectionately calls poorly educated? It would be impossible for our educational system to slide into decline without our collective intelligence, our values, our popular culture sliding into decline with it. It would be impossible. Donald Trump needed all of us to play our parts in all of that for decades in order for him to be taken seriously as a presidential candidate. A year ago, none of us knew we had slid this far into decline, so far that Donald Trump could be taken seriously as a presidential candidate, never mind be the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination. But here we are.